got better equipped.
I think it's a fair point. I look at Spurs in this way though. The Klopp thing, I get, and Liverpool we spoke about, and even when they had all those injuries and nearly all those players you mentioned were out injured, they still put a run together. I know they're older. That's just why I can't write them off. So I've still got City, Arsenal, Tottenham in my top 4 right now. Spurs are the ones I've got the question mark over because of how good Newcastle are doing. I don't think Newcastle will stay the course. You see how exhausted they are towards the end of most games because of how much effort they have to put in. That will take its toll by the back end of the season. However, my mind could change if they go out in January and buy 3 or 4 more quality players. I think that Man United, do they have a chance? If they're there or thereabouts and go out and buy a finisher in January, they could be in that conversation. I think without a class finisher, they're not going to be able to do it. With Tottenham, though, the one thing they've got an issue with, listen to their fans. Like, listen to their fans when they're being honest. They are frustrated. They are angry. I think that's going to seep into the players at some point. And I think Conte could lose control of this team. I think he could lose control of them. And if that happens, or if they don't buy him something in January that he wants, you know what he's like as a man? He'll go, well, you ain't backing me. I'm done. I think they are at the biggest risk of missing out. And it will probably be to Chelsea. That is who I would pick to like.
Terry, the thing is, funnily enough, it's been a while since me and Daniel been on the same show. The one time he's actually backing Liverpool, I disagree with him. But I look at it from even a different perspective from Igal. I don't even think it's a players thing. I think the ceiling is why, like, it's kind of a little bit, you have to look at it like Liverpool are just too crap in order to put Tottenham like as more crap than them. Because in my opinion, when Tottenham Hotspur entered this season, the expectation wasn't to win the league, win the Champions League. Like, generally speaking, if you catch a Tottenham fan offline and just ask him, would you take the FA Cup and finishing like 8th? They probably would, because they just need a trophy. So the ceiling for Tottenham is a lot lower than the ceiling for us. We had like major people in the fan base say, yes, we're going to win the league, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So I think the fall from grace of, like, you know, finishing second to going all the way down, I think is a lot worse. But the difference is our problems could be solved in January. This is the part where I agree with Daniel. I don't know what Spurs can do in January, to be honest with you. Like, they do need, would they spend money is a question. Would Conte want the players that they want to spend money on is another question. Would the players have enough time to gel in and actually make a run in the second half is also a third question. So I think there's truth to both sides.
It also depends on who's doing what. So you look at the situation. Man United are a great example here. In the summer, the talk was, I don't really fancy it there. A lot of players, it was that they don't fancy it. What direction is the club going in? If our football keeps getting better, you saw the way the players celebrated at the end. And this is something that I don't think Man United fans care what rivals think. We feel it. And if we're feeling it, it's there. And I know Gooners went through this. And I know Liverpool fans went through it in the early stages of Klopp, where you just have a feeling and a sense, and you like your team again. If that continues into January, maybe a top-class player that Spurs want to improve their team, Man United can get over them. If Man United are a couple of points behind Tottenham, playing better football, or level with Tottenham, playing better football, there's a feel-good factor. The football looks great. I don't even mean this rudely. They ain't signing a player over Man United. They're just not going to be able to do it. And that's where Tottenham had to capitalize this summer. And I said their window was overrated, and it was. They signed a really good right back they don't play. Yves Bissouma's just coming into the team now. I don't think Richarlison, until his injury, had scored in the Premier League. Perisic, just far too old. And they celebrated getting a second-choice goalkeeper. Now, I know that Lloris has made a mistake yesterday, but if they think Lloris's distribution can be bad, put Forrester and go and see what happens with his distribution. The guy's a throwback goalkeeper. So, listen, Tottenham can still make it. And right now, if I was pushed to make a prediction, I'm still keeping Tottenham in 4th. But they're the most vulnerable, is my view right now.
They also concede 15 shots a game, which is
on average per game, which is too much.
Never a good sign.
For a Conte team, you would expect them to be keeping those shutouts. You know, it's dull. The games are dull, but they're conceding opportunities all the time. And yeah, I'm just something about them ain't quite right now.
That's why I feel like.
Go on, man.
Or I was just going to say, this is why I think like Liverpool come back into the equation. It's half the season you can be there, but half of the time where Liverpool behind. What? Who, Sam? How many points are you actually behind 5th, 6th, and stuff? Like 4, 5 points?
I stopped looking at the table.
No, I think you're only about. That many points.
They're only 5 points behind us.
This is what I'm saying. 5 points only. And when it comes January, I
When
can
we have a game
guarantee
in hand
myself,
over
I got a
Liverpool.
feeling they're going to sign 1 or 2 midfielders, and that completely changes the team going forward. It helps the defense going forward. That no matter how good your defense is, if you ain't got 2 players in front of you at least that can cover you or run absolute rock solid, that whole defense is garbage already.
And-
it don't matter.
and bro,
then you
like-
got to rely on your goalkeeper. You saw that with David De Gea in 17-18 season, and before that, how many times have to bail out? It's a similar situation. You just need a 1 or 2. I think Liverpool know they're in crisis if they don't get. I don't think Klopp's going to go anywhere, and I don't think he deserves to go anywhere either at the moment. He'll
And to
turn
be
it
honest,
around.
obviously, we did start about talking about Liverpool, but like, don't get me wrong, Tottenham will come back into form and maybe go on a maybe 6-7 game unbeaten run. They will still get that this season. I have no doubts about that. But like, another thing that's like makes them stick out like a sore thumb is that their football is dross. Like, you want to pluck your eyes out when you watch them play. Like, and I mean, a lot of fans might say it's rich coming from Chelsea fans, but look, at the end of the day, you have to look at it like this. Even our new ownership, and I put that in quotation marks, one of the biggest reasons why they wanted Potter in is because they just think his football's better. They think the football identity is better, whether you agree with that or not. So I'm not giving an opinion on that. Whether you agree with that or not, your football needs to be appealing. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what people want. They want that easy on the eye football, and that has to be a part of the new identity. It comes into the point where we were talking about Tottenham needing only a trophy, and wherever they finish, whatever happens. So by any means necessary, basically, they're happy to get that. But you look at what the approach clubs are taking, and you look at the managers that the top 8 have. Tell me who's not a manager with some sort of identity which has been
Like
analyzed on Twitter.
like a
Do you know what I
progressive,
mean?
trying to get
Everyone,
like, scoring goals.
each
like
of them have probably
highlights.
got like a thread on Twitter right now that you could search up. And Antonio Conte is a throwback manager. So
And question on him. I mean, it kind of goes into the next talking point that's been voted for by the viewers. Is he feeling the pressure? And why are we know they're struggling, but why are they struggling? So we look at the game, kind of reviewing the game back yesterday. Good for the first 20 minutes, and as soon as Newcastle did what Chelsea did, what Man United did, what Sporting did, that is press their front line and create a gap between the defenders in the midfield and the attackers. They had zero. They had zero quality for the remainder of that game. 60 minutes. Why is this happening? And do you think Conte's feeling the pressure?
just very quickly, David will also be able to, because we're the ones who have actually had Conte. And one of the things, you can even take the football aside, put the football to the side. One of the biggest things for you to know that Conte is under pressure and feeling the heat is when you ask him a direct question in a post-match press conference, and the first thing that he says to that is, it's the board, someone else did it, da-di-da-di-da, doesn't answer questions directly and doesn't give you responses to the questions that he's been asked. So forget the game. When you're asking him questions, and the first thing that he said was, we need patience, we need more money, we need more resources, we need this, we need that. It's always we need. And after the outstanding, in quotation marks again, transfer window that they had, it's poor. And really and truly, I think if we talk tactics now, there's just a disconnect between their midfield and their attack, and then the defense isn't performing at the level that it was before. And we all know this. Conte seems to get the best out of bang average players, to be honest, and makes them work in his system. When those bang average players start revealing themselves, their true identity, what happens? They're playing up against bang average players. So
it's not
like,
it's not just that as well. He need go on, Dan.
I was going to say
David, sorry.
Almiron is not a good. I'm sorry, Almiron is not a good. I don't care what form he's in. He's not a good footballer, and somehow he's made Longley look like he's made him look like Boateng when Messi showed up.
Give him credit. He scored like 5 in 5. He scored 5 in 5. He's doing
I just want to say on Almiron, I said it yesterday. I want to say on Almiron, after what Jack Grealish did to him, which looking back, as I said at the time, it was so disrespectful. He should have been fined by Man City for that. You don't do that to your fellow. He should have, if he was taking the mick out of one of those celebrity footballers from Soccer Aid or something, that would make more sense. You know, if he said he looked like Danny Dyer in Mean Machines is probably a bit of an old reference, but you get what I'm saying. To call out another pro, I'm really happy that Almiron is.
No one understood that reference.
I like
Imagine.
it though, Terry.
Not a
I'll be
single
honest.
person
I
here.
think there should be more of that in within the Premier League. It makes it fun. Like this whole professional, keep it quiet, respectful. Sometimes it's a bit boring and plain. For me personally, I'm expressive, right? And everyone knows I can be reactionary, I can be shameless, I can talk context as much. But it's nice to see some of these players just like bigging themselves up. He didn't have a decent season to be fair, but just be expressive and be a little bit shameless towards other players. Why not? And look, Amron's about 28. He's coming into his peak of his career. He's doing fine, man. He's been doing great things at the moment. 5-5, I think it is. Good on him, man. It might spark some players.
I think everyone disrespected this guy because he never played in an attacking team. They always had a manager who was playing defensive. Let's be honest. He came Rafa Benitez, defensive. He came, what was the other guy's name? I forgot his name.
He played on the counter attack though, which is to a T.
Regardless, now he's actually playing more his style of football.
Regardless,
and it's more suited to him. If you guys know, this guy was the best player in the MLS, and he came over.
MLS,
He was a striker,
levels,
and he was a striker. He was a striker.
levels.
The MLS.
No, you guys want to laugh. My main point.
Come on, man.
He started off by saying the player was trash. And I'm just saying he's not trash. It's just
he didn't really say that, did he? He didn't really say those words. You're right though. He was in a defensive team. I'll give you that. He was literally trying to break lines from.
Almiron is not the subject to this.
I put some respect on a player of the month's name. He's player of the month.
He will be player of the month too.
It would be an absolute embarrassment if Hugo Lloris starts for France. This guy has been horrendous for Tottenham. I know he did well. I know he did well versus midweek versus Man United. And this is not an overreaction. They have plenty of different goalkeepers for France that could start over him that would do just as good. And I don't really think that he should be starting for France ever again. And his form for Tottenham, if he carries that into a World Cup, France is in big trouble. This guy has been shocking. What was he doing? Coming out of the box, was he trying to chest it away? Like, what was that? Like,
did anyone think that was a foul? Did anyone think that was a foul?
Nah. He ran into him. What do you
want Wilson to do? He tried to slow down as well. What do you want me? He even said, "What do you want me to do?"
The delayed fall as well was the one for me. Like, and it's oh no, I better fall over. And then he went. If he'd have just fallen straight over, he'd have got the foul. Just a bad dive. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, he's been poor. Look, listen. I get what you were saying a minute ago, Dan. Around, I feel like the pressure's starting to show. I feel fans are starting to turn. Their football just isn't good, and it isn't that it isn't working. I still think they've got enough maybe to make the top four. There's no doubt about that. But the point is this: they ain't winning anything, and I know Tottenham fans well enough. They want to admit this. If they're not winning anything, they want to be entertained. And if you're not winning anything and you're playing that kind of football, I don't get it. I don't understand. There's no point. If you're not worried about winning, you've got to play entertaining football. Otherwise, there's literally no